You know what? Yes. I posted recently on LinkedIn and was talking about a specific topic. And I got two clients who reached out to me and said, you know what? I forgot all about that. Can we talk and refresh my LinkedIn profile now? So there were a few things that way. And then also just a way for when a client is referring me, they can send along a piece of what I've done so that it's kind of the proof to their person they're referring to that, hey, this is the person that's right for you.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets podcast. I'm your host Rexhen, and today's guest is Lalena Kennedy, an executive writing partner, personal branding coach, and the voice behind Profile Impressions. With a background in agency copywriting and nearly a decade supporting executives and business leaders, Lalena helps high achievers clarify their message, elevate their presence, and craft stories that stick. Whether she's building LinkedIn profiles, ghostwriting thought leadership, or fine-tuning a keynote, Lalena brings strategy, soul, and just the right words to help your brand connect with impact. And it's a pleasure for me to have her on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Lalena.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's a pleasure for us to have you on the show. And I want to dive into how this all got started. So what inspired you to become a coach and then start your own coaching business?
Wow, I'd love to tell you. So I came to coaching through the side door. My background is in marketing. I worked for agencies as a copywriter and in web design as well, in writing the copy for websites. So what that is I've always loved the challenge of pulling out the things that are most compelling, right? What is it that connects with an audience? What are the elements of a brand? And so at that time, what I found out that I really enjoyed was working with the people side of things. The work that really lit me up was really helping people to define their brand. And what shifted for me was when clients would say, hey, do you think you could help me look as good online as you did for our company? And that really stuck. So what they really meant, though, what I could see is they were saying, I really just don't know how to talk about myself. And I saw that over and over with friends. Now, these were really capable and smart people. But when it came to talking about themselves, talking about their achievements, they were really lost. And so really by default, I started helping that way and found that that was the work that I loved. So that's what called me into coaching. And what I realized is I could take those pieces from working in branding and help people with showing up as their real selves, figuring out what's important, what's relevant, and then how to say it in a way that really communicates who you are.
And it's been about 9.5 years since you started Profile Impressions, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And
2016.
Throughout these years of running Profile Impressions, which part of your coaching journey do you find the most rewarding since you started doing this?
Well, that's easy. Hands down, it's the different people that I get to work with. Really cool people doing really cool things. And I get to learn about that every day. Every day is different. And I've had the chance to work with people in many different industries, finance to medtech to aerospace. So every day I get a new perspective on what they do and the value that they bring. And it's a new challenge every day. It's a new story. And what I really love is that I get to learn a lot about different industries that I never would have heard about before. So, one day I might be, like last week, I was helping a CFO candidate for a dog food startup to prepare for his interview. And then the next day I was writing a thought leadership piece with an AI executive. So again, never the same day twice. And it also just keeps me curious, right? Learning about, again, the different roles that are available and the people that are filling them. But really, no matter what, it helps me to understand that no matter what type of role you're doing, people are always asking the same questions. How do I talk about what I've done? And how do I communicate that in a way that seems real? So that's the part I never get tired of, helping people to figure that out every day. And their success, That's my success.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And when it comes to the people that you're working with right now, if you were to put that into a group of people or category, what would be the ideal client profile that you really like to work with? And then how does the transformation look like for them? So what programs are you usually offering these people?
Okay. So, well, I'd love to tell you about who I work with. So the clients that I work with, they're professionals who are successful in what they do, but they struggle to communicate it, right? Especially when they're in transition. Sometimes they're looking for a new role. Some are just stepping into leadership and trying to establish thought leadership. But really what they're trying to figure out is, how do I show up in a way that feels authentic, right? No business jargon. They're not defined by metrics. Who are they? What do you get when you work with that person? And most people aren't used to talking about their achievements. It kind of feels like bragging, right? So they just don't know where to start. So I start always with a personal branding session, helping them to understand their value, understand what the things that they do that are unique, and also what makes them successful. What are those things that they can look to throughout? What's that common thread throughout their entire career that help them in every job that they've done? And so along the way, though, I also provide them with the documents that they need, whether it's like a resume, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, board bios, or something I'm doing a lot lately. It's all about being tailored to their goals and written in their voice. So it's not about just helping them to get hired. It's about helping them to own their story and be clear and to be confident.
Can you share a little bit more about board bios? What is that?
Sure.
I'm not exactly sure I understand that.
So a lot of the executives that I've worked with are now sometimes looking for board work in addition to their role, or maybe their next role, if they've already made it into the C-suite and they're not ready to take a step all the way back, but they're saying, I think I'd be good as a board member in board service. So that bio is a little bit different than a resume. It's really talking about, like, it's a higher level of their career. And it's really showing the strategy that they did, not the things they were responsible for, but it was the strategy and the impact that they had in every role that they've done. If they've done some consulting work, that's really relevant as well. And there's two documents. First is the board bio, which is more like an overview, right? Could have a headshot of them. And again, it's just not a detailed, but a one-pager giving their career story. And that's what they're using to kind of shop around. That's what they would give to their network, to kind of help them to put some feelers out there. Then the board resume is very detailed. Again, that's much like a regular resume, but again, a little more of a high level snapshot.
And when it comes to the clients that you mentioned, where do they find you, or where do you find them? What marketing channel is working best for you right now?
Well, I've been really lucky. I've heard other coaches say, some of the same things, but my business is built on referrals. It's been really helpful to working with great people who know great people. And a lot of times people aren't really talking about their job search in a big group, right? They may speak to one or two trusted colleagues or friends. And I'm real happy that when my clients say, hey, I know just the person for you to call, and they think about referring me. That's helpful because, again, it's not oftentimes, especially at a high level, your job search isn't something you broadcast. You're not searching on the internet, or you're not posting on LinkedIn, hey, does anyone know a job coach? It's really, again, in those trusted circles that I'm really lucky that my clients have thought about me. It's always, hey, I know someone for you. And those are always the best people to work with. The other piece of it is I do put out some breadcrumbs, though. So when I'm talking to my clients and we're working on a project, I will ask them, hey, if you could keep me in mind, I'd love to work with other people in your field, or I really was interested in what you do, would love to work with other colleagues if you think of anyone. Also, right around college graduation time, I've sent out, and I do run some specials where I work with a lot of my clients' children. So there's a program that I have with college graduates where it's helping them to really get clear on their value and help kind of walk them through stepping into a new career and applying. So I've picked up a lot of extra work that way and got to work with another generation of a great family. Yes. Well, it's interesting you ask about that because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And really for a long time, I let my clients' success speak for me. And honestly, I was okay with that. I've always been the one behind the scenes, helping other people to sound sharp and confident and clear. So that's also what helped me build this business around referrals. But what I've been thinking about is that staying quiet isn't the same as staying humble. It can actually be a way of staying small. So, I've done this work, this writing, coaching, personal branding, like you mentioned, since 2016, almost a decade. But I've never really given my story the same time and attention that I do for clients. And that's what I'm working on now. So getting more comfortable, being visible, sharing my own voice, and talking about the work I do in a way that's honest to me and hopefully useful to others. So, in fact, being on this podcast is really part of that goal. It's a way for me to step out from behind the scenes and say, this is what I do, and this is why it matters, and here's what I've learned along the way. So that's my goal, to be a little bit more visible and to really work on exposing my own personal brand.
That makes a lot of sense. So right now you're thinking of further growing the coaching business, right? And that's why you want to have more visibility in it. Is that correct?
It is. And it's really to stay top of mind to the clients that I do work with. I don't do whole lot of outreach for clients, but I do what I'd like to do is add another layer of maybe people who I never even get to work with, but those people benefiting from the information that I provide. Just really another layer of thought leadership for me, but also of confidence in the market.
And you bring a good point when saying not just reaching out to new clients, but also being on top of mind for current clients or maybe even past clients that could come back for another session, or they are maybe at a different moment where they need to pivot or something like that, and they would be coming back to you. Do you find that there's many of these cases where past clients are just coming back again at a different moment in their life?
You know what? Yes. I posted recently on LinkedIn and was talking about a specific topic. And I got 2 clients who reached out to me and said, you know what, I forgot all about that. Can we talk and refresh my LinkedIn profile now? So there were a few things that way. And then also just a way for when a client is referring me, they can send along a piece of what I've done so that it's kind of the proof to their person they're referring to that, hey, this is the person that's right for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I also want to get into investments. What have been some investments that you made in your coaching business that you feel that they actually have made a good impact on the business growing? That could be any coaching programs, masterminds, communities, any type of investments in yourself, certifications, whatever it is that you feel that you've put money on, or maybe investment in your team, whatever it is. Feel free to share it that you feel like actually it was a good investment.
That's a good question. I'll be honest, I haven't really followed a traditional path with coaching programs or associations. I've built my business more through relationships and referrals, right? Rather than a formal structure. So there are, though, a few things that were really surprising when I thought about this and kind of looked back. One of the places I found a lot of value in, believe it or not, is joining a Toastmasters group. It helped me to get comfortable using my voice in front of other people, and how to structure my thoughts, read a room, and really speak with more intention, which now carries over into how, using that with my clients. It's less about the performance and more about clarity under pressure and networking. So I have joined some networking groups and met some business owners, which were really helpful in, bouncing off ideas and getting some, specific information about what's working and what's not. But I've really gotten the most value from smaller job-focused events. These are things I still go to. This is the kind where I can really listen to what job seekers are struggling with. What is it that what are the questions they have on their minds? What's confusing? What's frustrating? I hear a lot about that. But it's in their own words, right? So some of my best business ideas that really answer those questions, they all came from those casual conversations at these type of meetup events. So I really haven't joined a ton of coaching communities, but I do have my own version, a small group of these business owners that we talk regularly about this. We trade ideas and really reality check, whether it's our pricing or just some of our programs, a way to kind of test market and then share behind the scenes about running a business. So those are the things that I've really invested my time with to really, again, make sure that what I'm doing is hitting the mark with clients.
Thank you. Thanks so much for sharing it. And I also want to talk about challenges. Right now in your business, what is that bottleneck? What is that challenge that you're trying to solve for next?
This is one I've been working on for a while, and this is a big challenge, but I'm trying to figure out where AI fits into my process and programs and where it doesn't. So that's something that I know AI can be incredibly helpful, streamlining tasks and generating ideas, even organizing thoughts, right? So there is a place for it, but I'm really careful not to let it replace the deeper parts of the work. The parts where we clarify a story or give direction. And because they still require nuance and listening and that human touch, right? So AI just isn't there yet. So those are the pieces that I feel really are not, off limits for AI. But with that, what's become really clear is that clients also need to understand AI for their own roles, right? So I need to learn it because that's the biggest question on everybody's mind. How do I fit AI? How do I talk about AI when I haven't done it? Or, will this job be taken over by AI? That's a lot of the things that top of everybody's minds. So I need to understand it for them, right? So it's not just a tool to support their job search, but it's something they're expected to engage with at work. So, and it's whether they're marketing or tech or finance or operations, AI is now part of that conversation. Hiring managers are going to ask about it. Job descriptions mention it. And if you're not fluent or at least aware of it, it can be a gap. So part of my job is staying current. So I can say to a client, look, here's how you could use this to help you prep for interviews, get your feet wet, right? Understand the company better, or even create some better content in your posts. But I also need to know where it might work against them and kind of mention that if they're not careful, right? So I want to be informed and help them to feel informed and not behind. So that real challenge is finding the balance. So using AI in a way that supports the work without replacing the parts that require real thought, right? That require strategy and human interaction. So those are the things that are still going to get people hired. But that's a big thing, a big challenge for me right now.
And so far, how are you including it in your coaching so far? Where have you gone with it?
So it's really helped me especially when I work with a client where I'm not so familiar with their industry or what exactly they do in their role. And, you always want to be prepped before you talk to them. So it does help me to understand, and maybe rather than, because I used to do this on the internet, right? And I type in, their specific type of work and then read all I can about it. But AI now helps me to really get clear on what they specifically do. I can ask questions back to prep a bit. Also helps me to understand, some of the challenges that are being faced in that industry, because reading through many, many, many articles took a lot of time. So that has really helped me to streamline a bit in the prep side. It's also helped me when we're really looking at job descriptions and figuring out what is it that they're really looking for. Job descriptions sometimes you really have to decode them. And it helps us to get really clear. Sometimes I'll put some sentences into AI from the job description and say, what does this person do? What are they really looking for? So that's been very helpful on the back end to streamline some of those pieces.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense and does help a lot reducing that admin work, especially for coaches. And I'm looking forward to what you find on later on once you put more time into this in actually using it also for your clients too, so how they could take advantage of it. So yeah.
I've had clients, what I've told them when they're researching for a company, kind of the same thing. Look at the About Us page, always try and figure out what it is that they're looking to do. And if you don't understand some of it, again, look into AI. That's where AI can maybe fill in some of those blanks or figure out who their competitors might be or who their target client might be.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great, especially like collecting that information, doing that research, shortcutting the traditional way of going to Google and collecting that data manually. So yeah, absolutely. And my final question is, what advice would you give to other coaches who are looking to scale their impact?
Let me think about that. I actually did try to scale in the traditional sense. Right. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. I started out and I really thought I needed to grow my business by bringing on more people, getting bigger. So I brought on a few more writers, tried to systematize the process, streamline things as much as I could. And I thought that I could serve more clients that way. Right. That's what I was after. More clients. But really quickly, I learned that I felt very disconnected from the work. I wound up managing the writers versus working with clients. And that's why I got into this business in the first place. The writing was fine. Clients were happy, but it just didn't feel like me, didn't feel like my business. So I really had to take a step back. And this is where my advice comes in. Had to get very clear on my value proposition. Was it that I was really fast at writing a resume, or was I really affordable in, personal branding work? Neither of those felt right. What I kept coming back to was, I'm not a vendor. I'm a partner. And that's how I wanted to structure my business. Clients come to me because they want to think out loud. They want to get clear. They want to, advice from someone. So I'm not just giving deliverables. It's not just resumes and LinkedIn profiles. It's direction. And that really only works if I'm hands-on. So that's the piece of it that I really focused on. Instead of scaling volume, I started to scale in depth. So this is where I created more services where I could stay more connected to clients. So once we were done with the resume, or once they were done with the job search and landed, now what? So I wanted to give them ways to keep engaging. And so we're not done soon, right after the resume's finished. So this allowed me to grow the business without, again, having to scale too much. It's more focused on quality, connection, and more meaningful work for me. So my advice to other coaches, don't assume that scaling means hiring a team or doing more volume. Sometimes it could be about doubling down on what you're good at, what makes you successful, and finding ways to go deeper, not wider. And that's what worked for me.
And so currently you don't have a team that also helps you out?
I do not. It's
you.
Just me. I do rely on another person for some admin work, but all of the coaching, all of the emails, all of the writing, it's all done by me.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you.
It helps me to keep it smaller. So I'm working with people, but a different person, the person who's just looking for a quick resume turnaround or a refresh, or maybe just needs to spruce up their LinkedIn profile. In some cases, I might not be the best person for that because it's deeper work where once I've written your resume, we've overhauled your LinkedIn profile, all those pieces, and you're very clear about what it is you have to offer. What I find is, especially once they land, people are looking for thought leadership, ways to prove themselves in that new position. So then it turns into, okay, let me help you write these blog posts or let's brainstorm ideas for content to post on LinkedIn, or, you might have to do on the company newsletter, a letter from the CEO. I've helped clients structure those things, give them ideas for content. And so now we work together a lot longer than they ever expected.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lalena, for sharing all of this. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today. For anyone who wants to connect with you or find you, they can go into LinkedIn, Lalena Kennedy. They'll be able to find you there. And the other thing is they can also go into the website. If I'm not mistaken, is the website about.me/Lalena Kennedy?
So you'll find me at
profile-impressions.com. So that's where we'll find the website.
But LinkedIn is where I really hang out. So that's where to find me best.
Cool. And they will also see your email and phone number within LinkedIn. So if they wanted to reach out, they could do that too. So thank you so much, Lalena. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast today. I really like the interview. I'm looking forward to having this conversation again, maybe in a year or so.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.